Welcome to the Hanley Effect, a podcast by the Hanley Foundation designed to educate, change minds, and save lives. Our goal is to inspire you, showcase our innovations, and change the conversation about addiction and mental health. Join us as we unravel stories of resilience, recovery, and hope.
Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the Hanley Effect. I'm John Dyben.
Good morning, John.
Good
How are
morning.
you?
I'm well. Who are you?
Let me think.
You
Can I
still
remember?
have to tell people.
Rachel Docekal, CEO.
Dr. Rachel Docekal.
Dr. Dyben, good to see you today.
It feels like, I know we do this on a regular basis. It feels like it's been a while since we've been here.
It does feel that way.
All right.
It does feel that way.
I'm glad to see you.
I'm glad to be back.
And it is. I always kind of make fun of myself a little bit. I'm always very excited about whoever it is we're going to have. And again, I'm really excited today. I was talking to my daughter about this person and trying to explain like the role that he actually has. But Dr. D, would you like to tell us who have we got today?
I would love to introduce our guest today. I have Sheriff Ric Bradshaw here in the studio with us. Sheriff, you are one of my favorite people on the planet.
Well, thank you.
I have such deep respect for the work that you do. We are going to talk today about some of the work that you do that other people don't know about. Do you mind if I just start with a huge thank you? You have been working with and supporting our evidence-based youth prevention programs for more than 15 years.
Yep.
Who knew?
No, but who knew? But it's so important, without a doubt. If we the youth are our future, and if we don't make the proper investment in them, then we're doing a disservice to what the future brings. And there's so many of them that need help. Because of the families being dysfunctional. We see that with the gangs and everything else. So anything we can do for kids, we do it.
Yeah. Sir, you have changed Palm Beach County since you've been in this office. We are, we are richer as a community because of the different programs that you've started, but also the programs that you get involved with. Just recently, I attended the Boys and Girls Club Gala, and you were there. And, it's my understanding that you have been involved with the Boys and Girls Club for decades as well. Yeah. I mean, that's tremendous.
Well, one of the advantages of being the sheriff for 20 years is before they had 3 sheriffs in 8 years. There was no consistency. But, excuse me, my voice quality is horrible. I'm getting ready to lose my voice. But they didn't pay attention to the things that they were there only when the community called them. I want to be there for the quality of life when you don't call me.
That's right.
And since I've been the sheriff, I've given back $14 million back to the community.
That's incredible.
Just for kids, for programs that enhance the life of the people in the community, citizen groups, anything that I can do to make the quality of life better. It's like on the weekends we do food distributions that a lot of people haven't heard about, but we go to different places in the community and distribute food to people that have a hard time going to the grocery store. I think we did 2,000 last weekend.
Wow.
There's a lot of things that I need to do. And of course, with the kids, look, if we don't show up that we're there for them, the gangs are going to be there for them.
Yeah.
You hear the same story time after time after time when we interview these kids that are involved in this. I don't know who my dad was. My mother's single. The boyfriends that she had with those, they don't care about me. I dropped out of school. I don't have a job. Right? So who gives them everything that he doesn't have? The gangs do.
Yeah.
Right? They become their family. And that's a shame. So that's why we try to get to these kids with the Boys and Girls Club, Inner City Youth, all of these different organizations to let them know that we care about them and they don't have to turn to the gangs.
So we have a statistic that says for every $1 spent on prevention, it saves $7 in treatment costs.
Right.
and $14 in societal costs. Wow. So, every one of those dollars is helping keep kids out of jails, all of...
No, I love it. So as a health scientist,
amazing.
right, when I think about health, we talk about social determinants of health, right? So sometimes we think health is just what one person does and what they do with their doctor, but the reality is health, all of our health is determined by all these different social determinants, and a healthy and an important aspect of public health is looking at those things. And what you're doing, we also know that there's social determinants of criminal behavior, social determinants, of that it's not just a single person's, choosing whether they end up in jail or not. There's a lot of social aspects that influence, and you're focused not just on, I got to arrest the bad guy, but you're focused on how can we influence our society in such a way that we don't need to arrest as much. That
these kids are not born like that. They have to learn it from someplace. But, people don't realize the importance of mental health. And when I say mental health, I'm talking about things that I have to deal with all the time that are directly related to mental health. That's why when I started my mental health unit, people looked at me and said, "You're crazy because this isn't your job." And I explained to them, it is my job. Family violence, domestic violence, workplace violence, substance abuse, the school shootings, they're all mental health issues. Now, that doesn't mean everybody that's got mental health is dangerous, but that's one of the things that's involved in it.
That's right. Sheriff, for our listeners, talk a little bit about your mental health unit. This is such a powerful thing that you started.
It is, and I started it about, it's been 11 years now ago. And it came to me, I'm sitting at my desk one day, and I'm looking at all these things involved in the school shootings, and two of the factors that were there every time was mental health issues and prone to violence. The third thing was somebody knew about it ahead of time. How many times have you seen these things? Somebody goes, "Well, I knew about that." Well, who'd you tell?
Right, every time.
That's right.
They didn't have anybody to go to.
Right.
But the prevention part wasn't there, because if we could have got to these kids or whoever's involved in this ahead of time, then you don't have to take the action on the other side.
Right.
So I decided to go to the legislature. I did. They gave me $1 million to start it, and the governor turned it down, vetoed it, but I did it anyhow. And I started with one team. And a team is a deputy that has a master's or a PhD in social sciences or psychology, and then I hire a local clinician to be part of the team. That he actually comes on as an employee organization. So they're a team. And why is that important? It's important because if we go in front of the judge, because we've done the red flag law, where we take firearms from people that are a danger to themselves or the community, it's the credibility factor of not just a deputy standing there in front of the judge, but a guy that says, "Look, I did this for a living. I'm a clinician." All right? It just adds a lot of credibility to what we're trying to do.
Right.
Not to mention the fact, you can read all the books you want to, until you're actually a practitioner, you don't learn a lot more than what you just said in the book. So these people are very important to us when we go to situations where we have somebody in a house. It's been a family disturbance. The husband's there, he's armed, he says he's going to kill the family. We don't want to rush in there because bad things are going to happen. Right. If we can talk them out, then that's what we want to do. And that's why these men and women that are in this unit, they do that very well. I started with one team. We're up to 8. Wow. I could use 8 more very easily.
Incredible.
Because, on an average year, we'll average 1,400 to 1,500 legitimate mental health calls. Wow. Now, that doesn't take into consideration the ancillary things that we dealt with, but those are strictly mental health calls to respond to.
Crisis calls.
Yeah. And the average deputy on the street, we give them what we call mental health first aid, which is about 4 hours to recognize the signs so they can call somebody that's got more expertise over, because we're going to deal with it every single day.
And then those are the teams, but the as that's not all you're doing. I mean, the largest provider mental health services in Palm Beach County is
the jail. And that's the wrong place. Wrong place. That's after the fact. And I don't have people there long enough. The average stay in the county jail is probably, I think, 4.5 days because it's all misdemeanors. The most you can get sentenced to is a year in the county jail. The ones that have been there longer are being held to go to state prison or federal prisoners. But I don't have time to make a real impact on them. We just treat them for when they're there with psychotropic drugs just to stabilize them. But there's no long-term process there to make an impact on them. That's why outside of that is where it needs to happen. That's why Hanley's so important.
Yeah. Well, and we have 10 mental health beds. How many beds are in the jail?
Well, I've got 90 that are full all the time.
Wow.
But we're constantly taking people to all of the other places in Palm Beach County. Yeah. You know, the sad part about it is the state of Florida, I think, is 47th out of 50 states for funding mental health.
Right.
And Palm Beach County is no different.
Right.
And it's not that they don't want to. It's just that there's so many other things that the tax dollars have to be spent for. By the time it gets around to that, it's just not there.
Right.
Yeah.
And there is and I'm so glad to hear you say like this is not short term stabilizing for a few days, whether it's at the jail or it isn't the answer. People sometimes think if someone is hospitalized for a few days that is somehow boy, by the time you get to that point there's so much need in your life for long term help and treatment that it is. It's only good if it helps you get to that longer term work.
I mean, the Baker Act, all that is, is a short-term fix.
Yep.
Just to resolve the situation at hand.
Yeah.
Because they're only there supposedly for 72. Most of the time it's 48 because they need the bid. Right? So even though we Baker Act some people, we do some follow-up, especially if it's kids. We go over, talk to the family, see what the situation is, see if the environment is conducive maybe to changing a little bit, a few things. But we always recommend to them, look, you got to do something that's long-term here to solve this problem. Otherwise, it's not going to go away.
Yeah. And there are so many, I don't think people realize that. I didn't realize until the past few years where there are departments in the Sheriff's Department and people that are, and there are organizations that are reaching out, that are developing relationships with treatment providers, with experts in the community, and with there's a lot of passion in your department from the top on down to build these relationships and to be part of the longer term solution.
Yeah, even the homeless situation, that's a mental health issue too.
Yes.
So the deputies that we have in our homeless intervention program work very closely with the mental health unit.
Yes.
Because those people need some help also.
And we get an opportunity every month to go in and talk and spend about a half a day with a new team of deputies, every month or two, and they're hungry to learn more about. We help them understand addiction and mental health conditions, and man, they are compassionate, caring. They want to help, and I wish every time I go, I'm like, I wish there was a camera following me and everybody could see this, and see these people and their passion to be helpful in the long term to others.
I will say it's a little funny when all the deputies come to Hanley. We have outside of our main training building, we have about 100 parking spots, and they're all filled with sheriff's vehicles.
Well, that's
People
good.
are thinking, what's going on here?
Good.
What did Dr. Docekal do?
Today, what did I do today?
I'm glad that they do that.
It's amazing.
It's just one of those things. It was a culture shift, that I had to install to tell people, hey, part of our job is making sure that the quality of life of people in the neighborhoods is good, and part of that is going to be mental health.
That's right.
So it's not where I want it to be. We got a lot more work to do, but it's tremendously better than it was.
It's amazing.
And what's good about it is I have deputies that will come to me and say, listen, I want you to think about a new program. And we think it would help in the community. The therapy dogs that we talked about a little bit ago.
Let's talk about that.
So
that was one of
good.
them. When they came to me and they said, look, we want to start this therapy dog thing. and here's what it'll do. And I went, I don't know, I got to think about this, because most of my canines are specialty. We got dogs on the street, they apprehend people. We got bomb dogs and drug dogs and all that. And I'm going, I don't know if I can get comfortable with this therapy dog thing. But I said, you know what, I'm just going to give them a shot. If it doesn't work, that's fine. It is one of the best programs that we ever came across. Yeah. Not only does it help the situations that are happening, but other entities like the judges at the courthouse, they have them come over there with witnesses that are really scared and apprehensive about testifying in court. They'll spend 20 minutes with them, and they're fooling around with the dog. When they come out, they're fine.
Oh, I love that.
It's the sheriff's department is training these dogs.
Yeah, yeah. We have certified trainers for that. And we've been training people from all over the United States that are coming to us. And now the fire departments are getting involved in it because they see the benefits.
Right.
I mean, we had a really bad situation in Wellington where a husband and wife got shot in their front yard. There was 3 kids. And you can imagine what was going through that.
Horrible.
We took the therapy dogs out there, got them off to the side, and they just got so interested in playing with the dogs, they kind of forgot what was the bad things over here. So it's been a great program. I think we have like about 12, 13 dogs. We're going to double that easily because the handlers are also community officers with the community policing program. So they have like a dual function, but they can have the dog with them to go do things in the community.
So
it's really great.
That's amazing.
Hanley has one of your dogs, Macadoodle.
There you go.
And Steve Campana, who works for us, but is a former first responder, which is why he qualified. He is his handler. This dog goes into group every day. So people who are there and trying to express themselves and work through trauma and all of the rest of the healing process that goes on in treatment have an opportunity to, do what you're talking about with centering with the dog.
People have no idea the effect that a dog who doesn't care what your day was like,
that's right,
doesn't care what's going on in your life, just loves you.
Right.
I've got 6 dogs. Right? Only because my wife is involved with Big Dog Ranch so much. But anyhow, I can come home.
Hilarious.
I could have the worst day on the face of the earth. When I walk in there, they don't care. They just want me to be around me and love them and touch. And it just kind of just lowers the temperature a little bit.
Absolutely. And it's funny you mentioned Big Dog Ranch. It's another organization involved with a lot of veterans and so people who have really high stress. One of the things that Steve does is he also brings Macadoodle around to the therapists and to the people who are working in those crises. All of us benefit from it.
We partnered with the Big Dog Ranch for the veterans that have PTSD.
Yeah.
And we can do the training now, but they would do the training and give us the dog. So it doesn't cost the veteran anything. But these dogs are so amazing. They can recognize when the individual is having this event of PTSD, and they either put their paws on their chest or grab them by the wrist or do something to divert them off of what's going on. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Dogs are just the most amazing animals. We use them for so many things that people don't realize the expertise that these dogs have. We can't do without them.
Right, they're pure intuition.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's like they can read them. I was having a bad day a couple weeks ago, and I was in my office, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Macadoodle comes in and puts his head right on my lap, and I thought, of all days, like he knew that I needed him to
and that's
come
why
in.
these dogs with the PTSD are so fabulous, because they recognize the signs of when somebody is having this issue. Right. It's just like the therapy dogs. They recognize people are going through not a good time. Right. So they kind of just get cuddly and do what they have to do. Amazing animals. I mean, we use them for so many things, liquid explosives, regular bombs, finding people on the street, finding people that are lost in the woods. They're just amazing.
Let's talk about those experiences in our Patriots program. There is no way that I could ever do the job that you do or your deputies do. I mean, it is essentially your job to work through experiences that send other people really into sustained trauma.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to react, and you have to get up tomorrow and you have to go back and do it again and again and again.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
people
That's
look
right.
on the outside at us and say, well, they can endure anything, right? Because they've got that job. They don't understand that we're just like you and everybody
right.
else, except we got a different job.
That's right.
I'll tell you, we had a really bad incident out in Glades where a family in a van, I think there was 12 of them, went into a canal out there early in the morning, and they all perished. And those deputies jumped in that canal in the middle of the night, black water,
Yep.
no lights, nothing, to get in there and save those kids. And there was some young kids involved in that, and they had to pull them up on the shore. I mean, unless you've seen that and been through it, you don't have any idea the toll that makes on you.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why statistics bear out the fact that law enforcement and the military have a high rate of people that turn to drugs and alcohol because they want to forget what they saw.
Right.
That's right. Help them cope.
Right. So we pay a lot of attention to that. In fact, there's some units that we will only let people stay in for like 4 years or something, like the child pornography unit, because they see such horrible things that you don't want to let them stay in there a long time, and they need to get over it.
And they're still human beings. And
That's
and
it.
that's yeah.
And then
I'm no
those-
different than you are. I just got a different job.
Right.
That's right. That's right. It's interesting. I that's a really poignant way to say that. We have the honor and the privilege of treating individuals with those jobs. Veterans and first responders who have turned to drugs and alcohol. They come to Hanley, and that is it is a responsibility that we don't take lightly.
Well, you guys have been great. See, the obstacle that we have to get over is deputies, regular law enforcement, whatever, they think it's a sign of weakness if they admit that they got a problem.
That's right.
And that's why places like Hanley, for sure, is a place for them to go. It's confidential. They can get the help they need. And it's unbelievable what you do. It's definitely the best.
And first responders and veterans are together. They are not with anybody else.
Yep.
Their needs are unique, and it is so important. Just like we know that women do better in treatment with women and older adults with older adults, we know that this group really can heal together.
Yeah, there's a lot of information, and I'm sure you've read it, that peer review of these things and the peer counseling is the best.
Yeah.
Right? Because, again, they don't want to feel like they have a weakness if they're with other people like them.
Right.
That's right.
That say, hey, I got an issue too, without a doubt.
And we also find that there's also this protective nature. So if what we would hear from first responders and vets often is, look, I'm not going to, I get group therapy and I get it's beneficial, but when I'm in group therapy and there are people who don't know this stuff, who didn't work on the child pornography, I'm not going to drop that stuff. I'm not going to bring that stuff because I'm not going to lay that burden on them. So what we see is that and so having sometimes where there's sometimes groups with just everybody can benefit, but man, having those first responders and vets have their own peer support is absolutely critical.
And I think that one of the good things that I think you guys do is let's say we have a deputy come. He's not going to be there with other deputies from the same organization because that's where he feels that he's showing weakness.
He may have another law enforcement person, but he's not like admitting to them that he's got a weakness, where if he had the same people from the organization, that's where they get a little upset, but they don't want to show a weakness.
Right.
Well, and you're right. We have members of law enforcement come from all over the U.S., veterans from all over the U.S., and it is certainly something that is critical.
Yeah, and that's unbelievably important. Again, going back to what we talked about earlier, I don't think that the public realizes how many areas of law enforcement mental health touches. Well, it touches the vast majority of what we did, but nobody was paying attention to it before. Right. The program that we started was the first one in the United States, and now, we've gotten calls over the last 11 years of other departments that say we want to start a unit, we want to start this, and have come to us and said, please show us how to do it. And there was some agencies that made a couple of mistakes and just had deputies. They thought they could train the deputies, and I kept trying to tell them, that's fine, but you need to get a man or a woman that's done this for a living that has actually treated people. And that's one of the reasons that even though we give the deputies of the mental health first aid thing for 4 hours, look, just because people have mental illness doesn't mean they're stupid, right? I guarantee you, we've had deputies that go to calls where people say so-and-so is acting out or that they got a mental issue, that get there and talk to the people, and the people that have the problem are able to give the deputies exactly the right answer. That's right. Right? So they don't detect it, Laura. They can't do that with the mental health professionals. So they can see right through that. Right? So that's why it's so important to have that kind there.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had forgotten that was the first one in the United States. I knew that you were, well, in front of the curve, but that's extraordinary.
I was just thinking,
there's so many firsts here.
It's just like with the therapy dogs. We were the first one to do that, and now people are coming to us. There's, and I'm not just saying that because I'm there, but the sheriff's office in Palm Beach County is very well respected throughout the United States. People come to us all the time. In fact, Miami now has gone back to the sheriff's system. They just started it. They used to have it, got rid of it, now they're back to it. So they've come up to us to say, we want to see how you're doing things, in different areas, because we'd like to do that. And that's really nice that people want to find out what we do and how we do it, because it means we're doing the right thing.
Well, you started by saying that the sheriff changed Palm Beach County, is changing Palm Beach County, but this is changing our nation.
Yeah, it is.
We're all aware that we have, no matter where you come from, no matter what your views are, we have huge problems, and these are your solution focused. Yeah. And you know what? I think I knew this, but I don't even think I realized it until just sitting here and listening and realizing, like, this is national game changing stuff.
Yeah. It's like technology. We're on the cutting edge of technology. I'm still the chairman of Homeland Security for all of South Florida. So our intelligence gathering and how we're able to use technology is important. We are the most technologically advanced unit in the southeastern United States, for sure. Wow. But the thing about it is, if I don't have the best technology, if I don't have the best training, then I can't provide you with the best service. I just went through an election in November by 6-1. But I would go to different places. I'd walk in, everybody says, Sheriff, you're just doing a great job and everything. And I said, wait a minute. I appreciate the comment, but it's not me.
Right.
You're happy with me because you're getting good service from the men and women that work there.
That's right.
Because if they don't like what you're doing, if they don't feel safe, they don't like me.
That's right.
And I won't be around. Right. So it's a real, kudos to the men and women that work there. And not just on the road. It's the jail people. It's the civilians. It's everybody. They do a really good job, and that translates into the community feeling good about, keeping you back.
I know we're getting to the end, but there's something else I want to ask.
Me too. I'm like,
Sheriff.
I just want to just make this a long episode.
So, Sheriff, last night I was driving home with my husband, Steve, and we passed Air Force One.
Oh, there
that
you
was
go.
about to get into the air, and of course, the sheriff's deputies were up and down the road.
Right.
So I'm just interested. Talk to us just for a minute about the difference having the president right here in Palm Beach County, and this is, of course, your second time protecting him. I mean, that in and of itself is a huge job.
Yeah, we learned a lot the first time around. The Secret Service is great to work with. People should not judge them by what happened in Butler and a few things, because they're really, really dedicated people. But they only have limited resources, and most of their resources are dedicated to being close to him, right? So perimeter security, getting them to and from places, the checkpoints on the road, because we're in a kind of unique situation that a lot of presidents haven't been in. He lives in a resort, not just his home, right? And they have events
community
there all the time. So sometimes there's 700 or 800 people that are coming to an event. So we've got to screen all of those people along with them and get them in there safe and then get them out. So, it's not just getting him from one place to the next. It's also taking care of where he lives over there and works. And I don't know this 100% for sure, but it looks like he's going to spend more time here than he's going to spend up there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been back every weekend, and he didn't do that the first time. So, we're going to see him a lot. And you don't know who he's going to bring here.
Yeah,
he's already had
point.
Netanyahu. He's had, the Speaker of the House. He's had some other people. So, he's had the President of China come here before. So you really don't know where things are going to be at a certain point in time with him. So you have to be able to adjust. We're ready to do it. We're capable. We've learned an awful lot of things, and we're really good at what we do. So I'm very proud of
wow to see Air Force One sitting right there on the side of the road, basically as you go down Southern Boulevard.
You ought to go inside of it if you ever get a chance, because it's an incredible airplane. It really is.
Is it?
I'll do that next weekend. Yeah. I'll put that on my list.
Okay.
Your bucket list.
Yeah, but he has to have that type of aircraft. Because it's like when 9/11 hit, George Bush, he was up there. That's where he was running the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So he has to have that type of aircraft. But,
that's a good
the
point.
president's easy to get along with. I've known him for 35 years. And like I said, the Secret Service is great to work with, and we have a great relationship with them. So, other than the fact it costs me $240,000 a day when he's here.
Oh, my goodness.
Other than that, things are pretty good. But look, I told somebody the other day, we are the center of the universe.
Right now, that's right.
County.
Yes,
right.
Every major news network has somebody permanently assigned here.
Yep.
When we had the incident at the golf course, there was 40 news outlets right there at the news conference.
Right
Wow.
then. That makes sense.
And they were there within 2 hours.
Yeah, because they're right here.
Wow.
They're
Yeah.
stationed.
So, we can't afford to make a mistake. We just can't.
No,
And we won't.
I believe it.
Yep.
I believe
So
it.
I just want to keep going and not stop, but I know that we are coming to our end. We have to wrap up. And Sheriff, I hope we get to talk to you again. I'd love to just hear your whole story of what makes a man come at something like this, looking at it with such a global focus to really make change.
Well, I think the nice part about talking to you guys is we can get information out there. It doesn't necessarily have to be mental health related. There's so many other issues out there that I could talk for an hour.
Yeah.
Immigration. That immigration right now is the number one topic that everybody's talking to.
Right.
Because it's happening right in front of us.
Right.
And there's a lot of misinformation out there about it. And some people are scared. And that's why my voice is a little raspy, because I've given 5 speeches in 4 days. But I'm trying to get to groups to tell them you don't have to be afraid. Right? I don't want people to be fearful in their neighborhoods. It's like the Jewish community when the war started over there. We told them, look, don't be afraid to go worship. We're going to protect you and your places of worship, because I don't want you to be afraid. People cannot be afraid to go do what they want to do.
I love that.
Yeah,
And it's, you know, having friends who are rabbis, you know, knowing that has been incredibly important. That and then the homeless, there's so many things. I hope to have you back soon.
Well,
I hope
I'll
we can
be
do this
more
again.
than thrilled to come back.
We always like, though, to take the last minute and just give it to our guests. And so there are so many things. Now I'm realizing there are so many things that people need to hear from you. People don't know are happening, but overall, we like to just invite you to think about the people who are listening to this are mental health professionals. They're not. They're people touched by it. There's a very wide variety of people. And what is one thing that you would want to have the people listening hear from you today?
The biggest thing is help us. And what I mean by that is if you know something or you see something, you need to tell us about it, because we're not going to put it in jail. That's not the focus. We want to get people help before it happens bad. And a lot of people know a lot of things, and I understand what the issues are. They're a family member, so they don't want to get them arrested. They're a schoolmate, so they don't want to get them in trouble. But you have to realize that's not my focus.
Yeah.
My focus is to get them help, and I can't get them the help unless I know about it.
Right.
There's so many people that know so many things, and they're afraid to talk about it. Don't be afraid. You can do it anonymously. You know, no one's going to say, "Oh, so and so told us about that." Just give us that little piece of the puzzle that we need to go solve the problem.
And I can say, as a mental health professional, that I've seen it firsthand.
Oh, yeah.
That there really is a spirit of help in the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Department. And I thank you for it.
Yeah.
Sheriff Bradshaw, I thank you so much for your time. You are not a busy man. In fact, you might be about the most busy person in this county right now.
Yes.
And you spent time with us, so thank you.
Time well spent.
Thank you so much for the impact that you've made on our patients, families, the kids in our community. You're such
it makes me feel
amazing
really
person.
good that, you know, at the end of the day, when I'm done doing this job, maybe somebody will look back. I don't want them to think of me as a sheriff. I want them to think of me as a man who helped people have a good quality of life. And when I come back the next time, I won't be so raspy.
All right.
It's a promise. All right.
Thank you, Sheriff
sir.
Bradshaw.
Okay, thank
Thanks
you.
to everybody who's watching. And as always, thank you, Dr. D.
Thank you, Dr. D.
And we'll see everybody next time.
Thank you for joining us for the Hanley Effect. To learn more about our programs, visit hanleyfoundation.org or call 844-502-4673.